Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Wishbone Football. I am Chad, and welcome into episode 1.16, NFL Conference Projections. I just wrapped up recording episode 15, doing the exact same thing for college conferences, national championship, Heisman winner, and it was a lot of fun. So I wanted to sort of keep the ball rolling, get right into the NFL division, conference, Super Bowl projections. It was a lot of fun, so I just wanted to keep this ball rolling right into NFL. So sitting here Thursday, August the 13th, I am sitting here watching the Raiders lose to the Arizona Cardinals, and it's it's back. Like we are all the way back now with football being back. So that's why I wanted to get into the betting portion of where things are, where we are, and really how can we make some money on this is really the angle. um you may know, you may not know, I am Canadian, so we don't have access to a lot of books like a lot of American states do, which is unfortunate. So I am using Bet365. They're one that I've been using for a few years. The reason for it is because um, Kentucky Derby and the Big Three are one that pique my interest every year, and they were one of the only ones I can find Canadian wise that would offer me horse betting, live horse betting, and so really that's why they get my money. But um, I want to encourage people to do some shopping around. I said that in my last podcast. Is what you see at the app that you have on your phone may not be the best one out there. Um, I That was a tip that I got from a man named Sam Peniotovich, who um, really is a master when it comes to sports betting and finding futures that can make you some money, and really hat tip to him for that. But I do the same thing. Bet365 is primarily who I use, but we're starting to open more up now in Canada, so I do want to have more essentially on my phone and have access to more of them. But for this piece and the crazy eight division winner eight division winner parlay that we are going to build tonight, I'm excited to do that, and but I am doing it with Bet365. So let's jump right into it here. What I've done is I've went through ahead of time, done some notes on who I expect to win conferences as an objective view on it. Um, I mean, you see my Bills helmet hanging there. I'm obviously a Bills fan, but we will see when we get to the AFC East who ultimately is picked. Um, so we'll lead things off in the North. So we'll go AFC and then we'll go NFC. AFC North, I am taking the Cincinnati Bengals. I think that this is a huge bounce back year that they need to get right. This is not the year for them to be a pedestrian 10-7 team. They have the third best strength of schedule, if I'm remembering correctly um from reading that. So this is really has to be a year that they take advantage of. Um, and I think it's priced accordingly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through each division, who I'm taking, and a reason not to. So my first selection, Cincinnati Bengals. The reason I would hesitate against it, because you have to play the Baltimore Ravens twice this year. And that's going to sound sort of stupid, but it's true. Like, if you drop 2 to the Ravens this year, there is a good chance, even if you beat the Steelers twice and the Browns twice, there's a good chance you probably don't win your division. So you need at least one of those games against the Ravens. So, and just so you know, the way the betting lines work. So the Ravens are minus 110, Bengals are plus 180, Steelers are plus 550, and the Cleveland Browns are plus 2,000, which, I mean, I'll take a look at what the other bets are. I mean, is that a sleeper in the AFC North? Take the Browns. I know it's a long shot, but things are trending up there. And as someone who lives as close to Cleveland as I do, that's one that I always sort of have a secret rooting interest for. The AFC South. The I'm not going to sugarcoat. I'm taking it. I'm taking the Houston Texans. They have one of the most elite defenses we have seen in a very long time, and that's going to be why I take them. There's no other reason. All you need to do, CJ Stroud, is be pedestrian. That's all. You need to be the 18th best quarterback in the league this year for your team to be very good. If CJ Stroud gives you anything more than the 18th best quarterback, you're talking about that team being elite. And with guys coming back from injury this year, that's why I am taking them. The Houston Texans are plus 110. I mean, Jags are plus 225, Colts are plus 360, and the Titans are plus 900. I could see the Titans sticking around. I think that whole division is going to be a little sticky. It's not going to be the AFC South we used to know. We used to call it the AFC Invitational because one of those teams have to make the playoffs, right? But I think there's more competitiveness in it this year. We'll see where the Colts land, and but yeah, I am taking the Houston Texans. The AFC West. Chiefs are plus 165. Chargers are plus 185. Broncos are plus 200. And the Las Vegas Raiders are plus 2,000. And them and the Browns on the same level seem to make sense. I am taking the Broncos to win that division. Why not? They have a very good defense, a very very good offense that got better with the acquisition of Waddle from the Dolphins. I think that them being the third is a bit of a slap in the face. I know this time of year everyone's hot on the Chargers, but they are not. I don't think that they are going to be the team that everyone wants them to be. And the Chiefs are only getting love because Mahomes is out there running around throwing footballs like he didn't just tear an ACL 6 months ago. But so I'm taking the Broncos there plus 200. Give you an update. We are plus 1,600 so far. So $100 nets you 1,700. So So far, so good. The AFC East has pause for dramatic effect. Bills are minus 140, which is the steepest we've seen so far. Patriots are plus 125. And then we have the voluntary show up of the Jets at 8 plus 1800 and the Dolphins at plus 3300. I the Dolphins are doing the right thing, hitting the reset button. Um, no disrespect there, but um, the Jets, I will say, I do think do hang around though this year. I don't think they're the doormat of the AFC East. I I I want to think that the Bills and the Patriots will probably split their games with them this year. I would probably peg the Jets at probably an 8 and 9. I think we see them in the graphic probably late in November that says in the hunt, way down on the far right side on that graphic. But I I do think it's going to be the Patriots that win this division back to back years. It pains me to say that, but I think there's going to be some regression with the Patriots, but I don't think it's going to be a lot. I think Drake May takes a step forward, but I think the rest of the team takes a small regression backwards. But we're talking about AJ Brown. AJ Brown replacing Stephon Diggs is a huge deal. If they give him what Stephon Diggs did last year, which I think was 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns, like that's really good. And as long as AJ Brown does not become a complete idiot on this team, then I think the Patriots are winning the AFC East. So, update plus 3,800 now. We're creeping up there. This is going to be, I'm going to be making some bets before I go to bed tonight, I think, as we sit here and do an update on the scores. So now let's transition into the NFC. Um, the the NFC East. We all know what that division has looked like. It's basically been anyone's for the last 20 years. It was the Eagles who broke the no one won it back to back years in 18 years, I think. Um, Eagles are plus 125, Cowboys at plus 210, Commanders at plus 450, and the Giants at plus 550. I think it's a stretch for the Cowboys to win that division this year. They're going to come back healthy, raw, raw, raw. We're excited. Um, Greatest offense in the league. We'll wait to see what happens there. Commanders hanging around at plus 450. Speaking of Stephon Diggs, I think he is going to be an excellent upgrade for them in that wide receiver room, because really you had Terry McLaurin and then guys after that. Um, I really don't see the Giants or the Commanders winning that. I think it's priced correctly. I think the Cowboys are getting Cowboys numbers at plus 210. I'd prefer to see them at like a plus 350 if I'm being honest to win that division. Um, but I am going to take the Eagles to win that division at 1 plus 125. Moving on, NFC North. This is probably my most exciting division to watch this year because it's good. It's good. If Kyler Murray is any sort of decent, I think that the Vikings are going to be competitive again this year. And they're the fourth option at plus 500 to win the NFC North. So we've got Lions at plus 165, Packers at plus 230, and the Chicago Bears at plus 320. And again, Vikings with plus 500. So I really do think that it's it's close. There's not going to be a runaway. I think the Lions number is a little low, being at 165. Um, I'd like to see it closer up to plus 200, closer to the Packers, because yeah, they have Jahmyr Gibbs, um, but the defense has been their question. It's never been a question about offense for them. It's always been a whether they can uh, stop the run or stop the pass. Um, so I'm actually going to be taking the Bears to win that division. I'm high on them. I'm also high on Colson Loveland, in a fantasy sense, because really with DJ Moore moving to Buffalo, I think that's only going to open things up. There's been rumors of injuries at their camp, with a couple of their wide receivers, but I think that it's Chicago. He, it, I mean, Rome Odunze is going to be good, but I do think Colson Loveland is going to be like their number one. I think he puts up crazy numbers. That's why I am targeting him a lot, and ultimately probably why I'm leaning the Bears to win the division at plus 320. So give you an update. 6 of 8 are in. $100 pays 37,000. So, I mean, put it in. NFC South. Bucks are plus 175. Saints are plus 260. Panthers are plus 300. And the Falcons are plus 375. This is a contract year for Baker Mayfield. And the Buccaneers have shown that they do not, I shouldn't say do not, but have shown that they are not ready to give him an extension prior to this year. Now, mind you, I'm sitting here, I could be missing a Adam Schefter tweet that says otherwise, but it's a contract year for Baker Mayfield. I expect big things out of him. He is actually another guy that I'm targeting in fantasy because of how late you can get him. I mean, I think he's like ADP 16, something like that for quarterbacks. So I I think that they are I think that they're missing something by not giving him an extension now, because it's only going to be more expensive. We see that year over year, time after time, that look at the Dallas Cowboys. They always wait until the last minute for any sort of an extension, and it's always costing them money. But you could also be on the flip side of that and be the Buffalo Bills, who just seem so incredibly excited to give out extensions to their guys that maybe they shouldn't be getting. Dawson Knox is a perfect example. I think he was sort of like the first one that got an extension on that team that maybe didn't deserve that much. And then we kind of continue to see it. You give the Bills 3 good years on a rookie deal, and you're getting an extension. So, it's the Baker Mayfield piece for me. That's why I am taking them to win the NFC South this year. And show me. The Bucks owner is saying that to Baker Mayfield, so I want to be on board as well. The other teams, the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, I really just don't see them being ultra competitive like the Bucks can be this year. I'm a big Mbuka guy and drafting a lot of him as well. So we will see where that lands. But yeah, I am taking the Bucks to win the NFC South. And finally, we have the NFC West. With the exception of the Cardinals, probably the hardest division in the NFL for the second year in a row. Um, Cardinals are plus 7,500. Bit of a slap in the face. There's no one there to draft, fantasy wise. Um, I'm I'm really not high on a lot of them. I'm trying to stay away from any Arizona Cardinal players as much as possible. Might be disrespectful, but I just don't see things clicking there. Um, so Rams are plus 100, Seahawks are plus 200, 49ers are plus 300. And that substation is going to take out the 49ers completely if they don't do something there. That substation, I love hearing more and more of that. It's just an incredible story that keeps continuing to rear its ugly head. So NFC West, I am taking the Rams. This is a big year for the Rams. Myles Garrett, Aaron Donald coming back. He's basically, I saw a video of him running cones and he's on the field with the team. Like, come on, like just sign a contract already, make it official. Like, um, he's there working with the team as just nobody, as a person off the street, technically. So, and that completes my 18 division winning parlay. So we end up at a total of plus 206,000. So 100 would net us $206,000. So I only wanted to put $5 on that because I don't know if I'm putting $100 on that. $5 returns you 10,000. So a lot of fun to be had. Couple I mentioned the sleepers here. I mentioned the sleepers in the first division, the AFC North. But there was only one other that kind of struck me as a true sleeper that like still could get the thing done. And I think that's the Titans in the AFC South. They have done so much hard work to try and put pieces together, but it all comes down to the quarterback. And if he can hold it together and have any sort of a decent year, I do think that the Titans at plus 900 is something to at least think about. Um, it's I I do think they're priced right because if things click, it can be good, but I don't think that they need to be like a plus 400 right behind the Colts, who are plus 360. Um, it's they could be sort of the sleeper in that division, and who knows, like maybe it's the Texans and the Titans battling it out to win that conference or win that division if the Texans don't just absolutely run away with it. Um, so moving on to a couple of futures that I have highlighted here. So the first couple of futures that I've wanted to take a look at was the offense and defense rookies of the year. Um, there was a lot of good. There's a lot of good rookies coming into the draft this year, and it's hard because the rookies of the year can are wide open. They're a lot more wide open on whether it's going to be an offensive player or a defensive player. And so my offensive rookie of the year is going to be Mekhi Lemon out of the Eagles. I think that he's going to be a big player for them, if that's not too strong to say. I easily could see him being like a 65, 70 catch guy with 900 yards and a handful of touchdowns. I think that's where we would see him. And it's really more of a bet on what he can do rather than the situation that he is in, if that makes sense to you, because he's coming in not expected to be a number one. He's coming in to be a solid number two in a team that just won the Super Bowl 2 years ago. So they've got most of their team set, and it's really more about reloading talent for the Eagles. And I think Mekhi Lemon is that guy for that. Just looking at the numbers here. So Mekhi Lemon, I've got as plus 1,200. And then we have more of the chalky ones. Jeremiah Love at plus 425. Fernando Mendoza at plus 500. Carnell Tate at plus 600. And then it goes on. But Mekhi Lemon is my offensive rookie of the year that I would that I already do have a couple of tickets on. My sleeper for rookie of the year, and this really comes down to who is going to be the starter there. But it's Carson Beck for me at plus 2,200. He showed us a lot of excellent things last week in the first preseason game, the Hall of Fame game. He looks like he's picking up right where he left off with Miami last year, with the playing Indiana in the national championship. He is someone that I can see sort of taking over that job. And as Arizona, I know you've got Jacoby Brissett there, but like, that's not a patient owner. And I feel like Carson Beck could easily overstep Brissett, and the owner kind of step in and say, yeah, let's play the rookie. And if he has any sort of a reasonable year, because I don't think Fernando Mendoza is going to be starting. I think Mendoza rides the bench for 5-6 weeks. But if Carson Beck gets a runway and is able to start, I feel like he could be a good bet for offensive rookie of the year at plus 2,200. Now, shifting gears here, let's go to defensive rookie of the year. My bet is going to be a lot more chalky on the defensive side of the ball, because I feel like there's only a handful that can actually win it. There's going to be a lot of good guys that help their team a lot this year. But David Bailey is mine at plus 500. He's going to be an absolute freak show. And the only one better than him is Ruben Bain Jr. at plus 475, Mr. Short Arms, if you remember from podcast prior. But there's only a handful around him that I do think that can win it, because as soon as you get past Ruben Bain, David Bailey, Arvell Reese, basically like the big three edges that were taken in this year's draft. You then get into Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Mansour Delane. It's it it quickly falls off. I think the sort of tier breaks when it comes to the rookies. So, a defensive rookie of the year is David Bailey, um, who I think is going to win it. Now, I will take one more sleeper here, and this is a long shot because of the position he plays, but he could be a day one starter and be incredible. And I've talked about it before. It's Caleb Banks, at Minnesota. He plays a true nose tackle, and if he really does become a day one anchor for that defensive line, he is plus 550 right now. I can see him winning uh, uh, defensive rookie of the year. I really do believe that he can have that, really show that next step, if you want to say, with respect to being a difference maker for the Vikings. Now let's move into OPOY and DPOY. So we'll start with Defensive Player of the Year. You ready for it? Myles Garrett. How could you not? He is going to a better situation. He is going, like, the DC in LA is basically going to scheme Myles Garrett around the field. And I think that he puts up probably 15 plus sacks for the Rams this year. He is that good. And at plus 450, you really show that. Will Anderson Jr. from the Texans is plus 700. Aiden Hutchinson at plus 900. Max Crosby at plus 1400. And then you get into different tier breaks here. Jared Verse, though, plus 2,500. I feel like that could be a cool sleeper. Betting on him after he was traded for Myles Garrett going back to the Browns, I think that would be a cool throw a few dollars on Jared Verse just to kind of root for. Not that I need more help rooting for the Browns, but sort of give it some extra juice to say, yeah, let's get Jared Verse a Defensive Player of the Year after he was traded for Myles Garrett. But ultimately, I am going to pick Myles Garrett as Defensive Player of the Year. Jumping to offense. This one, it took me a while to kick around. I'm not going to lie, because my selection for Offensive Player of the Year is the number, like the shortest odds, and that's Jahmyr Gibbs. Because I think we're quickly going to realize, especially the Bills, because the Bills host the Lions to open their stadium week 2 Thursday night. So I think we're quickly going to realize again and again, like we have seen over the last 2 years, is that Jahmyr Gibbs runs that offense. All the carries, all of the catches out of the backfield. That's why, like, his draft position is 1.2, right? Because you know how good Jahmyr Gibbs can be. Second selection is Bijan Robinson. There it is, final. Arizona 27, Las Vegas 14. As a live update for you. Jamar Chase is plus 1,000. Puka plus 1,100. Last night I was actually watching the ship chasing guys talk about Puka Nacua at length, and there's an injury issue there. But what the guys got into on ship chasing last night was really about the possible suspension with the woman who is bringing bringing a legal claim against Puka for biting her. And so I'm I'm definitely drafting a whole lot of Puka Nakua. I am not really thinking about the suspension aspect. It's more the injury. It's more the injury piece for me, but Puka is too good to pass up on, especially when you're getting him like sixth overall sort of thing, sixth, seventh overall. Um, I think he's too good to pass up on it, and I think a lot of the Rams' offense will be centered around Puka. And then just a couple others to round out OPOY. Christian McCaffrey plus 1,400, Jackson Smith and Jigba plus 16, Jefferson's plus 16, CD Lamb's plus 2,000, Derrick Henry's plus 2,000. James Cook plus 2,500. I think there is a little bit of, I want to bet that, not just because I'm a Bills fan, but also because of what he can be now. I think that there's going to be a bit of a scheme change in Buffalo, not a big one, that sort of gets James Cook catching balls out of the backfield this year. So I 20 plus 2,500. I might put a few dollars on that just to say I did. And then the rest fall below that. So let's get into a MVP selection here. So the Josh Allen plus 550, Lamar Jackson plus 750, Joe Burrow plus 850, and then Drake May, Justin Herbert are plus 1,000, Patrick Mahomes plus 1,100. My selection for the MVP this year is going to be Josh Allen. I think he I think that they need him to be even more of a focal point than he already is, with the change of defensive scheme, with a new DC coming in, change of head coach with Joe Brady taking over for Sean McDermott. It plus 550. I don't really like betting that, especially on a MVP future. You'd like more of a plus 1,000, but I mean, I think it is going to be Josh Allen getting a second. And that is what is going to lead me into my Super Bowl prediction. I think that we truly do get, I mean, every Super Bowl is good, but I do think that we do get one of the best Super Bowls we've had in a long time this year. And that's going to be the Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams. It's Stafford. The Rams are trying so hard to squeeze every last ounce of life and football out of Matt Stafford. Look at what they're doing on the defense. Look at what they're doing on the offense. Aaron Donald coming back, probably, more than likely. Let's look at that. Is there a prop for defensive DPOY for Aaron Donald? Let's look at that. So while I look at that, I think that it is ultimately going to be Rams Bills this year. I will take the Bills to win the Super Bowl. I know that is going to look a little bit ridiculous with what you can see behind me hanging on my wall, but they continue to knock on the door over and over again. And one of these years, that door is going to knock over and the Bills are going to walk through that door. And I think that this is the year. With the addition of DJ Moore, a true number one, And you can say what you want about him being a number one or not. I think he is as good as a number one as what we had with Stephon Diggs a few years ago. And Khalil Shakir, yeah, good role player. Dalton Kincaid is going to take a step, and I ultimately think that nucleus now, DJ Moore, James Cook, Josh Allen, Dalton Kincaid, takes a step forward offensively to make sure that games are not left in question on the offensive side of the ball and instead of the defensive side of the ball. So just taking a quick look here at defensive player of the year, I am not seeing an Aaron Donald. I know that I can reach out to Bet365 and request that, and I wonder if I if I should do that. So there you have it. That's where I'm gonna leave things off here. I do want to look at some more Aaron Donald to see if he is hanging around somewhere on the Bet365 to try and throw some money on it, because I think that would be fun. I think that would be a fun bet to make for Aaron Donald, winning defensive player of the year, and he technically hasn't even signed a contract yet. He's not even an active NFL player, but something to look at. I like this. I do a lot of betting, and there are always times where I feel hesitant about tweeting about it or posting it in videos on Instagram or Twitter. So the reason I did this tonight, both this episode for the NFL and my last episode with college, is I wanted to sort of break that mold and really make sure that I'm bringing you everything that I want to be bringing you and not just holding it back. So without further ado, I want to thank everyone again, giving me a listen, giving me a follow. You can follow me and find me on Twitter at Wishbone FB. Instagram is at Wishbone Chad, and also on YouTube at Wishbone Football. So again, want to thank everyone for giving me a listen. I am Wishbone. I am Chad Wishbone, and you have a great day.